Good afternoon, everyone. Mike over at Charts Don't Lie. I wanted to take some time to start putting together videos for you guys because a lot of the setups that I see are really difficult to describe in 140 characters. And sometimes when I do my write-up on the website, I know it can get really wordy. So I wanted to start putting together some videos, kind of make that information a lot easier to digest and give a more in-depth look at what I'm seeing in the markets and some of the trades that I'm taking. So I wanted to put together the first video here on Brazil. Earlier this week, I posted on StockTwits that I was extremely bullish anything Brazil, and we took a couple of trades in some Brazil names this week. And the reason for it is what I'm going to show you. What I'm looking for is the lowest risk opportunity with the biggest upside. Obviously, make the most amount of money as quickly as possible with the least amount of risk is everybody's goal. There are some certain setups that work extremely well for quick bounces. It's not trying to pick the bottom initially. If we go back to 2013, a lot of times people will buy just piercing of the lower Bollinger Band, and that's not always right because something can continue to fall underneath the Bollinger Band over and over again in kind of a waterfall pattern, which we got from Brazil in 2013. So if you tried to catch the bottom, you got cut a number of times. Now, in July, we actually did put the bottom in, but you obviously don't know that that's the bottom until it's already passed. And so by the time, you're 4 or 5 days later and you can tell that that's a bottom, you've already missed half the move. And then on top of that, you're in chase mode. And never like to chase because if I'm going to be buying in the middle here, my upside is equal to my downside. And I'm kind of trapped. If it goes down, I have to sell for a loss. And if it goes up, I don't know how far up it's going to go, etc. So what we look for is we wait patiently and wait a couple of weeks, maybe a month or two out until we get another test of the lower Bollinger Band and a higher low, which is what we got back here in 2013. As you can see, the low this time was about 41.10, whereas before it was 40.64. So a little bit higher of a low. And we have rising RSI. So the RSI reading when we made the initial low was about 18, and we got an RSI reading here of about 33. So if you waited patiently to buy the second low from the lower Bollinger Band, you found yourself sitting on about 25% profit over the next month and a half with very little downside risk. Now, it's very difficult to buy the actual bottom even on the second test. Most people aren't going to go ahead and purchase it outside. They're going to wait for it to come back into the lower Bollinger Band. So even if you get this the second day of the low, you're getting in at about $42, and you can set your stop at 40.50. So you're taking a 3% downside risk for a 20+% upside. So you're looking at about a 7-to-1 risk return on your money. That is fantastic. That's what we look for. We got the same setup here in early 2014. In February, we pierced the lower Bollinger Band, and we bounced. And if you waited about a month and a half, once again, we pierced the lower Bollinger Band in March, and we had rising RSI. So we've got the same setup. We've got a higher low. We've got a second test of the lower Bollinger Band and rising RSI on support. It's a very easy purchase, very low risk to the downside. And once again, within about a month and a half, you're looking at about a 25% return. Well, sure enough, earlier this week, we got the same setup. At the end of October, we pierced the lower Bollinger Band. And earlier this week, after waiting 3 weeks, we pierced the lower Bollinger Band once again. We made a higher low. We have rising RSI. And as you can see here, this is where we want to make our entry. And earlier this week we did. We picked up actually not EWZ, but we picked up some BRZU, which is the 3X levered ETF. So instead of just being up 13% as you would in EWZ, we went ahead and played the levered ETF side of it because the risk to the downside was so low. So I had an opportunity to take a 3% downside risk on a 3X ETF where I thought the upside could be 30-40%. And sure enough, within 4 days, we're sitting on almost a 50% return. Now here we are at the top of the Bollinger Band. This is a good spot to sell, especially if you've got 50% profit in 4 days. There's no reason to be greedy. I would think that we continue to run higher. My target actually on this trade is up around 48. but we should pull back a little bit. Most of the time we don't just go straight up. You know, as you can see, when we left the upper Bollinger Band here in 2013, we pulled back to the 10-day moving average over 4 or 5 days. We gave back, you know, 5%, 4% of the move. So in a 3x ETF, that's a 15% move. So locking profits in today is a good idea. Wait for that 10-day moving average, that green line, to catch back up. Should happen sometime next week, mid 42s. That would be where I would be looking to get long if you missed this move, to try and take that ride all the way up to 48. Some individual names inside of Brazil that we also took a look at. EBR, very solid play this week. We had a multiple bottom test of that $2 range from 2013. You picked that up earlier this week, dramatically oversold out of the lower Bollinger Band, and in 3 days you're up 25%. And the other Brazil name that I always take a look at is PBR. Same type of setup, out of the lower Bollinger Band, bounced for 25% over a few days. So thank you guys for watching the video. Good luck and have a great weekend.